Hello everyone. Today I'm going to read another American Indian story. It's from the Salish tribe and it's called Beaver Steals Fire. What do you see here? A long, long time ago, the only animals who had fire lived in the land above, up in the sky. The animals on earth had no fire. They gathered and had a meeting. They wondered how they could obtain the fire from the sky world. The animals were very cold and needed to keep warm during winter. They made their decision and they said, the one who has the best song will be the leader of the raiding party to the sky world to steal fire. Muskrat was the first to sing, but his song was no good. Then the other animals sang their songs. Still, they were not satisfied. They heard someone whistling from a little hill a short distance away. Quickly they went there and saw a coyote and his friend Ran. Ran had many little arrows. They told Coyote, "You must come to our meeting lodge." So Coyote went to the meeting lodge where he was asked to sing. Coyote sang a song. Immediately, they liked his song and they began to dance. That was when Coyote was appointed leader of the raiding party. Coyote met with the raiding party. He told them, "Not far from here is the opening that leads to the land above. That is where we will enter." The animals asked, "How are we going to get up to the opening to the sky world?" Ran said, "I'll shoot arrows one above the other to make a ladder into the sky." When Ran finished shooting his arrows into the sky, he was the first to climb up because he was the lightest. He carried with him a little rope made of bark. He climbed until he reached the land above, and then he lowered the end of his little rope. The animals began to climb the rope. Grizzly Bear climbed last. Because he was such a greedy person, he carried his lunch with him. He had 2 large bags of food. Grizzly Bear climbed halfway the rope and it broke. His bags were too heavy. Grizzly Bear fell tumbling back to earth. In the sky world, Curlew was the guardian of the fire. This is Curlew. Coyote gathered the members of his raiding party together and said to them, "I want to find Curlew's camp." Coyote said, "Curlew is down at the river right now. He's watching his fish traps." Coyote said to Frog and Bull Snake, "Follow Curlew back to his camp. When you find his camp, come back here and let us know where he is." Frog and Bull Snake went to the river. They saw Curlew sitting on the bank watching over his fish traps. Soon, Curlew stood up and headed for his camp. Frog and Bull Snake followed. They reached a little hill, and over this hill was the camp. Frog and Bull Snake crawled up to the top of the hill. Very carefully, they peeked over and watched Curlew go into his lodge. Bull Snake began to get hungry. He licked Frog's foot. Frog said, "Quit." Bull Snake soon swallowed the foot, and Frog said, "Quit." Frog's other foot was swallowed. Frog said, "Quit." Frog was swallowed up to his waist, and he said, "Quit." Bull Snake swallowed one arm, and Frog said, "Quit." Frog was swallowed up to his neck, and he said, "Quit." Then Frog was gulped up, still saying, "Quit." You could hardly hear Frog. Then there was silence. When Bull Snake returned to his companions, Coyote asked, "Where is Frog?" Bull Snake said, "He was eaten up." He didn't tell Coyote who ate Frog. Bull Snake continued, saying, "But I found Curlew's camp. He has a fire there." Coyote said, "Beaver, you be the one who steals fire." Beaver said, "Okay, I'll go to the river. I'll pretend I'm dead and float on my back on top of the water. Curlew will think I'm dead, and he'll catch me and bring me back to his camp." Coyote said, "Eagle, when Beaver is at Curlew's lodge, you fly there and land in the top of Curlew's lodge poles and pretend that you are wounded and unable to fly. When Curlew comes out and sees you wounded, he will ask his family to come outside and capture you. They will leave Beaver alone just long enough for him to steal fire." Eagle said, "Okay, I understand." Beaver went to the river and floated downstream, pretending he was dead. Curlew was guarding his fish weir and saw Beaver floating on the water. He took his fish weir and caught Beaver. He said, "I'll take Beaver back to my lodge for his soft fur." Curlew's family asked, "What are you going to do with Beaver?" Curlew said, "I'm going to skin him and dry his hide. I have use for Beaver's fur." It wasn't very long before Curlew and his family heard noises outside. Something had landed on top of their lodge. Curlew went outside and saw Eagle. Eagle pretended he was wounded and couldn't fly. Curlew thought, "I will kill him for his feathers." He called his family. Curlew told his family, "Kill that eagle, I want him." They began to climb up the lodge to get Eagle. Just as they were about to grab him, he flew away. Meanwhile, Beaver was alone inside the lodge. That's when he stole fire. Then he sneaked out of Curlew's lodge. Once out of the lodge, he ran to the river. Curlew saw him and cried out, "Beaver came back to life and stole fire!" They chased him, but Beaver jumped into the water. Curlew told Spider, "Go downstream and spread out your web to capture Beaver." Spider went downstream to set his web, but Beaver had gone past, holding the fire. 3 times Spider went downstream to set his trap, but Beaver had already passed. Beaver arrived at the place where all the animals had climbed up the rope. He climbed down. Coyote and the other animals of the raiding party followed. Curlew wasn't too far behind. He looked down and saw that the animals were already passing the fire back and forth to each other and carrying it back to their camp. Curlew, who had his own frog in the sky world, called his frog and said to him, "Make it rain so the fire will go out." Curlew's frog made it rain. It rained for a month. But the fire didn't go out. Prairie Chicken was the last person the animals had given fire to. When Curlew's frog made it rain, she sat on the fire and it kept burning. That's how the animals brought fire to us. Beaver steals fire. Magical story. Beautiful illustrations. A Salish story. So long.